So, thank goodness I took some time last year. Well, by the time you guys are watching it, it'll be last year. But thank goodness I took some time to have a year's worth of content and put me super ahead of schedule all the time, so that way I could really gather my thoughts for this. This is just gonna be a ranting video because I once again have heard from Allie, and I guess I just want to talk about how this made me realize how far I've come in my own healing and my own growth. So I just wanted to make a video talking about it. Yeah. Okay, so I think the easiest way to do this is to just explain the beginning of how everything went down, and then dive into this very long message that she sent me, which is where my growth was shown. So she reached out to say that she was no longer with the toxic man, and all this other stuff, and we had a very polite, civil, nice conversation. I kept it relatively short. Let her say what she wanted to say, let her ask a couple questions. Thank you, baby.
You're welcome.
I love it. Thank you.
I found it over there where I'm playing.
Yeah, you're gonna find a lot of leaves now because it's fall.
Oh, this one was crunchy like a salad.
Okay, well, don't think of them like a salad. don't eat the leaves. Okay. We had a very polite conversation, and after that it was done and over. I moved on. Like, I let her say what she wanted to say. We talked for a little bit. Like, I asked about her son, and like, it was polite, but it wasn't like, oh, let's like get together, hang out, catch up, make plans, right? Because I feel like the last time that we spoke, while I wasn't the nicest about it, I was very upfront of like, this is the end of the rope for me. I can't do this anymore. I will not do this again, at all. And I will not chance it ever happening again, right? But a few days, like a week goes by, and I get this message. So I'm just going to read it in its entirety. I did blur some personal, private things out, just out of respect. So, alrighty. Hopefully the lighting is better now. Filming outside. Nothing's cooperating for me. But yeah, so we're going to dive into this message now. So a week goes by, and I get this message. I'm going to read it in its entirety and then dive into specific things. I guess I can see why you're ignoring me. I don't know if you have me blocked or something on TikTok. I've said I'm sorry multiple times. All I want is another chance to be friends again. I'm really sorry for how I was and how I allowed shit to turn out the way it did. Nothing like that will ever happen again. I've learned my lesson. I don't want to be cut off from the people who wanted better for me. I know you're trying to teach me a lesson. I get it. I'm sorry. I don't want to be shut out of your life anymore. I'm sorry. Please believe me, I'm really sorry. I just want my friends back. I want the support back. I don't want to hurt the people who cared about me anymore. Please give me another chance to be in your life. I want our friendship back. I don't know what else to do. I hate being alone. Please talk to me. I'm sorry I fucked up. It won't happen again. I've been asking if you're okay. I just want to show you that I care. I'm doing everything I can to show that I've changed. I just want another chance. So before I get into how I responded, there's a few things I want to say that didn't sit right with me reading it. Right off the bat, I want the support back. I hate being alone. To me, both of those things came across almost as though, like, it was a subtle way of kind of saying the quiet part out loud. Like, it wasn't directly saying the quiet part out loud, but it definitely gave the quiet part away, which wasn't like I really valued your friendship and value you as a person and don't want to lose out on a good person in my life. It was more of a, no matter how many times I completely ignore your advice and get back with this person and don't listen to you trying, like, don't listen to your warnings, even though I ignore all of that, every time I say I've come to my senses, you let me back in your life, and I don't have to be alone, and I don't have to sit with my own thoughts and blah, blah, blah. It wasn't really I miss you as a person. It was, I miss what you offer me in my life, which is support, which, yeah, that's a great thing that somebody offers you, but the fact that you just don't want to be alone, ultimately that's part of the issue, is that you don't want to be alone. You keep going back to him because you don't want to be alone. And it's like, you gotta figure out how to be happy by yourself. You gotta figure out how to be content with yourself. You have to heal yourself in order to truly break this cycle. It also just bothers me that it starts off with, I guess I can see why you're ignoring me. Mainly because I'm like, there's never any acknowledgement of what I had said previously about just being done, completely done, not wanting her to reach out to me ever again. There was no acknowledgement of the fact that she chose to completely ignore that. The last thing I want to point out is I know you're trying to teach me a lesson. I get it. I'm sorry. Ultimately, setting and maintaining the boundary that I set isn't teaching a lesson. And the fact that maintaining a boundary was perceived to be teaching a lesson shows me that not much has really changed at all. There hasn't been any steps towards actively healing herself. It also shows me that she never really paid attention to who I was as a person, because I wouldn't do something to teach a lesson. That's not... that's a very specific kind of mentality to have, to hold, to be okay with. And it's like, I'm not your ex. I've never been that kind of person. I've never, I've never been that kind of person. I tend to think things through and give a multitude of chances and stuff, and it took me a very long time as a person to realize that I needed to set and keep boundaries that I've set instead of just setting them and then going back on them every time. And my boundary was, I can't continue to have you in my life. Like, you are making your own choices as a grown woman, and I'm never going to, I'm never going to I am not the person that has to live with the choices that you make for yourself as a grown woman. However, as another grown woman with children, I have to make choices about what is best for me, for them, for my family. And one of the best choices for them is ultimately not continuing a friendship with somebody who continually and consistently keeps choosing to get back with a very dangerous individual. And overall, this entire, 2 messages, it came off very, almost like a, for lack of better words, almost like a pity party. It came off more as almost trying to guilt me out of my boundary, which extremely uncomfortable, right? Nobody should feel like they're being guilted out of their boundaries. And it's not wrong to say, look, you've made this choice too many times, and I have had to deal with the toxicity as a result of this too many times, and I can't anymore, and I can't chance it anymore. There are people that used to be in my life, and when I kept choosing my kid's DAD, when I kept choosing him over them, eventually I lost people that I've still lost to this day. I've been single for 3 years now, almost 4 years now, and ultimately that's just the reality, right? I burnt bridges. It happens. It's unfortunate. It's sad for everybody involved, but it happens. And I know which bridges I've burnt. I know which people just aren't able to trust me ever again and would prefer me to not communicate with them anymore and don't want me in their lives anymore. And that's perfectly understandable, and I respect them. I don't reach out. I've left them alone from the very beginning of the breakup 3 years ago. It's one of those things that upsets me for a multitude of reasons. And I ultimately did end up responding and then blocked because I was just like, I can't try to have it's not a conversation. This is the end of the road. Please stop reaching out kind of a situation, right? I'm not trying to continue a conversation. And all I said was, I'm not trying to teach you a lesson. I set a boundary. I'm choosing to maintain my boundary. If this is real and you're fully away from him for the rest of your life, then that is great. That is wonderful. And I'm glad that you are. But we've been down this road too many times. And for the health and safety of my children, and for the mental well-being of myself, and the safety for myself as well, I simply can't trust it. It's okay for that to be the case. It is completely fine for me to have this boundary. I didn't say that to her, but I was saying that to myself as I was explaining to her, like, I don't wish to continue a friendship, and I've told you that when you got back with him the last time. I don't want to maintain a friendship. I don't want to continue to go through this cycle with you. It's not healthy for me. And even if it's the end of the cycle, you have healing to do. Like, I point blank said, you need to get yourself into therapy. You need to actually work on healing yourself. Like, I am not a therapist. I am not the person that you should be going to heal. That is not my role. That is not my job. A friend can support you, but I was being used, like, every single time that she would come back around. I was being used more as a therapist than a friend. And that's why the support comment bugged me, because I know the kind of support that she was specifically seeking from me. Are you guys being Markiplier? I just love that you guys love Markiplier that much. I'm like, ultimately, that is not something that I can do. And it's not fair to try and force me into that and try to push that role onto me. It's not healthy. Like, you need an actual therapist. Your son needs an actual therapist. That was the gist of that last conversation. And I'm genuinely really hoping that it's heard and listened to and understood, and that I don't hear from her ever again. But it did make me realize how far I've come in my own growth, because I used to be that person that you could guilt into sticking around and giving multiple chances to, and just constantly going back on boundaries that I set, and constantly being like, oh no, it's fine, like, everything's good now, we're all great. And, like, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm actually setting and maintaining my boundaries. I am actively putting healthy boundaries in my life and my kids' lives first, as opposed to allowing people to guilt me into ignoring those healthy boundaries, right? Like, and it's interesting to me to just be at a spot where I can recognize that that's how far I've come, and that's what I'm actively doing. And honestly, feeling a little bit of pride in the fact that I'm able to do that without even thinking about it. Like, it just happened naturally. Like, it wasn't that long ago that I had to force myself into maintaining boundaries. It was just a...
Do you think I can still press my red hand?
I don't know, did it get taken?
I can't.
But yeah, that was the rant I wanted to go on. I'm sure everybody's sick of me just sitting in a spot and ranting about things, though. Sorry about that. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see y'all next Saturday. Bye.